Here are the best 3 ways to use social media to enhance your organization's fundraising. Now, is social media a good way to raise money? No. I think we know this, and you probably know this too. If you've ever tried to do a Facebook fundraiser or raise a bunch of money through a social media campaign, you know that it's way too much work. This is a ton of effort for very little dollars. But instead of trying to raise money directly on the platform or just post that you have a fundraiser or trying to make that the primary means of income, there are other things that you can do that drive traffic other ways and drive other metrics to then result in more money. So we're going to talk through how can we harness the power of social media to then help with your fundraising, even though we're not raising money directly through the means of social media. Number 1 is your organization's story. So important to lean into the storytelling method, the before, the during, the after, the here is the problem we've identified, here's our solution, and then after we have this wonderful result that's different. We too much talk about what we need as an organization, like, oh, we're gonna raise money because we need another 10,000 square feet in our building. It's like, why? How does that help anybody? Specifically in those 10,000 square feet, we're gonna have another 8 physicians or 5 NP offices, and we'll be able to help the entire patient care population of the underinsured, whatever the thing is that you're trying to do, that have that thing your thing does, the story, the outcome piece as central to all of your messaging. Here's how we can kind of leverage that on social media specifically. Now, the tendency on video production, especially for me, someone who loves video, I mean, clearly, look at all this crazy setup here, is to go overproduced with social media, is to go, okay, we need to look as polished as possible. We need expensive cameras and we need to hire it out so that we can have pros edit it and have all these fancy graphics popping up all over the screen. We don't really have to do any of that. There's kind of been this shift, and this is the year 2025 that we're talking about, in the last 5 years where we've kind of come full circle out of this high production into a more, hey, I just recorded this on my cell phone, audio, video, no edit, and I just uploaded it. And that feels so much more human and so much more raw. And people can relate to that. And in terms of storytelling and wanting to get people to empathize with your mission and the people you're trying to serve, having that raw human element is absolutely key. So our first key component of this is more personal content. This is more BTS of what you do and how you do it. So if you have additional staff people or volunteers or who are your kind of your frontline workers, the actual ones doing the mission, working with your patients or the people you serve or whomever, if you are able to get permission to do so, especially, just be careful of that with HIPAA and that kind of stuff, but to have these more kind of raw, hey, we're out here today cleaning up the waterway. Here are the people we're gonna help with this, or here's our new shelter area that has, room for 8 more animals per side, or whatever the thing is that you're doing, making it more personal, more raw, less edited, not only saves you time because you don't have to do much with it, but you can record it on your phone and upload it on your phone and just have this kind of ongoing story so that people can relate to you directly. You don't have to have this beautiful brand, overly produced thing that actually gets less clicks and less engagement from a social media perspective than just making it a little bit more raw, a little bit more real. So focus on the personal content, make it super raw, make it super unedited, and give people kind of a behind the scenes look into how you do what you do. Number 2 is to spotlight success. So if you have an outcome that's awesome, we just want to talk about it. We have these micro wins and these cool stories and these cool outcomes that happen all the time. And if we're spending a lot of time working for our organization, we become a little bit more numb to it, but we have to understand that there's so many other people who are not seeing these amazing things happen every day. So just sampling a couple of them and putting them on social media once a month. Here's a cool outcome, here's a cool story that we can share. Here's a success, something that our organization has done really, really well. We just want to talk about that as often as we can. Again, we can keep it raw, you can keep it simple, doesn't need to be overly produced, just needs to exist and making sure that we're doing this on a consistent basis. I think one of the things that we all forget about social media when we're trying to grow and get more eyes on our brand is that consistency will beat quality every single time. So if we can produce at a lower level, quote unquote, with just a more of a run and gun style with our phones, we can get more consistent content, we can get more consistent stories, and that will actually gain more followers, engagement, and people coming back to see our stuff than trying to overproduce and highlight all this fancy content with fancy cameras and everything like that. Number 3, in terms of story, is to use platform-specific features. A great example of this would be Instagram stories. So you may post on Instagram all the time and say you get an average of 7 or 8 likes per post for your organization. You're like, oh, that's pretty good, but we're having a hard time growing it. There are people who use this platform and don't necessarily go through and scroll through their feed. Maybe they do the reels or the shorts or the TikTok style content, but a lot of people just really focus on the stories feature. So at the top, so like they don't really look at posts. They might see your post occasionally if it's in the top couple, but if they're following 500 accounts, they probably aren't going to scroll through 500 posts that week. Maybe they will. Maybe if you're really addicted to social media, you will. But I think for most people, we're not going to scroll through 500 different accounts in a day. But if you're highlighting in the stories, people watch those really quick. It just kind of moves one to the next. You don't even have to polish or edit as much. You can straight up record directly into the story from your phone. So don't forget to use those platform-specific features like Instagram stories and take advantage of being able to do it that's super low friction. I can pull my phone out really quickly, do a quick selfie story, talk about what's going on that day, have people ask questions. There's different features within the stories where you can have interaction, do polls and that kind of thing. Those are built-in platform features that Facebook and Instagram and X and all of these other platforms want you to use because it boosts engagement. It keeps people on their platform so they can serve them ads. So if you can help them solve their goals, they're going to be more likely to help you solve your goals. Hey, thanks for checking out our video. If you're getting value out of this but would like something more personalized, you can book 30 minutes with one of our experts to see if you qualify for our support services. Link below in the description. All right, number 2 is to deepen donor engagement. Social media gives you another medium through which you can interact both directions with your donors. Not only are you able to share information, but then they're able to comment and engage back, and then you can then comment and engage back. You can go the other way, so you can have this conversation. You don't want to spend too much time here. Again, this is not going to be a high-driving, money-making method, but we talk about donor retention, and we need to engage our donors. We need to be talking to them all the time and sharing information. Social media is a very low friction, to use that phrase again, platform where we can have a two-way conversation with lots of people in kind of the same lane or lots of people around one piece of content. So there are plenty of features that allow you to interact with on a consistent basis, all kinds of people, supporters or not, but particularly the people who support you, particularly your donors, whether they're donors of time or money or both. You want to make sure that you're doing something to respond back. Like for example, if someone were to comment on a video or a photo or a post that you shared, just to comment back or to like their comment at a very medium or something that's thoughtful that isn't just thank you for your comment and not super generic, just kind of keeping the conversation going. Again, this is all coming back to reinforcing good behavior. So the things that your donors are doing is commenting on your stuff, which then of course shows that post to more of their friends and more of your supporters because Facebook goes, oh, this post is doing well. People are commenting on it. I'm gonna set it out in front of more people so that more people can watch it. By going back and forth like this, you can increase the amount of eyes and also increase that connection. Social media connection, of course, not going to be as meaningful as one-to-one human connection, but by being able to do both, we can get some traction for donor engagement. Here's a couple more ways you can look at doing this. Celebrate your existing supporters. So if you don't know exactly how the algorithm works, join the club. Everybody on the planet who's trying to push their stuff on social media across any platform is trying to figure out the quote-unquote algorithm. Like, oh, I post something and sometimes a lot of people see it and sometimes they don't, and sometimes it pops off and sometimes it doesn't, and I can't figure it out. The gist of how this works. So say you have 100 followers, right? You have 100 people who follow you exactly. This is not exactly how the algorithm works, but just to make it simple for one version of how Instagram or Facebook might use the platform. You post something and you think, great, I have 100 followers, 100 people will see my post. And Facebook goes, no, that's not how it works. The competition for eyes these days, super high. And we like to serve posts that are very, very engaging. If they're not super engaging, not everybody gets to see it. So they say, we're gonna test it. So for example, they say, okay, we're gonna show it to 10 people. Even though you have 100 followers, we're gonna put this post right at the top of the feed for 10 of your followers. And we're just gonna see how they respond to it. If they engage it very highly, and they go, yes, this is great, lots of engagement, high engagement, they'll go, okay, great. We're gonna send it to 10 more people and see how they engage it. And they keep doing this all the way through until they get to 100, then it even might go outside of those 100. Say if they get to 10 people and only one person engages with it. And engagement can mean a lot of things. It can mean liking, commenting, watching the video. Of course, when you're on your phone, even stopping and waiting on a video or a photo counts as engagement. If you scroll right past something really quick, Instagram notes that. And if you stop and linger and look at a photo or swipe through the carousel, Instagram notes that too. So if only one person out of those 10, Facebook or Instagram goes, you know what? Not a lot of people are looking at this photo, or not a lot of people seem to like this. So we're just gonna stop. That's it. Just that one person. And then that person goes, oh, I'm gonna like the video or I'm gonna like the post. And you get your one like and you're like, how out of 100 people did only one person like 99 people didn't like that photo? I worked so hard on that post. It's like, no, 100 people didn't see it. Only 10 people did. It's testing it and working its way out, 10 people at a time. Maybe then it scales it up if it does well with 10 and 10 and 10. But for the most part, it's pay to play for businesses. Again, people on social media are the product. Businesses are what they're trying to sell. They're selling advertising to businesses. So this is how they make money. So where am I going with this? I promise this has a point. Stick with me here. If you celebrate a supporter and on your post, you tag them, you tag your person, what is the first thing they're going to do? Well, they're going to share it. And though you may only have 100 followers, they may have 1,700 friends. And now 1,700 people, or maybe some fraction of that, say they even serve 10% of those, 170 people who you've never had any interaction with before, that have never heard of your charity, now see your stuff for the first time. Just because you tagged that person who's a supporter of yours. So obviously you want to get permission in an ideal world. You want to cultivate these real relationships and saying, hey, can I do a spotlight or something on you to talk about some of your support in the past, or talk about why you give, or just a photo of you thanks to one of our donors. By tagging them or allowing them to then share that, you're getting access to this brand new audience that you've never had before. And the best thing, it didn't cost you anything. You did not have to pay advertising dollars for these 170 impressions. That's what we want to be doing. And I already said it, but the other piece is to do donor spotlights. Just like we're sharing stories of our mission and the outcomes and the things that we're working on, we want to talk about the awesome things that our donors are doing, so that again, we can reinforce and encourage good behavior that we like. We're saying, okay, we want people to give to our charity because that's how we do literally everything. It's how we fund our entire mission. So when someone is an ongoing supporter and they're always giving to this and that, and they're singing our praises, we sometimes will go to that person directly and say, hey, can I interview you for 5 minutes, 10 minutes on the phone, or can you just send me some answers via email to these questions and say why you give, why you choose this charity over others, your favorite thing about giving to us, or some of the things you'd like to see us do in the future, just a couple of questions, and then we can then share those questions to everybody else, and same thing, tag that donor so that they can share it themselves. So donor spotlights, great way to do it. Again, you're not gonna raise money directly, but maybe you get access to 200 or 250 more people who are like, actually, I had no idea that this charity in town did this, this, and this. Maybe I should get involved. And they go click through your website and they learn a little bit more about what you do, and they see that you have an event, and they see that you can give online and all these other options. So you're just trying to bring more traffic in, and a great way to do that is through people. We want to focus on people here, and donor spotlight's an excellent way to get that done. All right, the third and final piece that we love to use social media for is to drive traffic to your website. The disadvantage of social media is that we don't have ownership over it. We can't control who sees us, who follows us, what they do, how they get served. We can manipulate it using some of the techniques that we just talked about, but for the most part, if your entire income or your entire base of support is based on Instagram and your Instagram following, what happens when Instagram gets banned? Or if your entire support is based on TikTok, what happens when TikTok gets banned and your entire support goes away? You have no control over the base platform. Whereas if you can convert these followers into people who are regularly checking your website, your RSS feed, your email news, whatever, all the things that you have more of a direct handle on, where you kind of own that audience better, you're much more future-proof, and you can control the rate at which information comes out, your ratio between requests. You know that if you send an email, all 1,000 of those people are in theory going to see that email. Just way more control by having people on your website as opposed to a social media following. So the goal of the social media is to then push that traffic onto your platform, onto your website. Here are 3 ways you can do that well. Maybe obvious, but include links to pages. This is the old link in bio. Make sure you have link in bio or link in post or link in comments so that if people do get inspired, you have just this automatic way where you're funneling it. The great thing about this, it's kind of a set it and forget it. You just include it in everything that you do. So there's always some sort of a call to action of like, head to our website for more information, or if you'd like to get involved, you can learn how over at our website, or check out this cool story, full video on the website. But just having these links available in your bio across your social media platforms and also in the posts themselves, just so it's obvious that they have a place to go. Again, this should be an easy box to check, but if you haven't done it and you're not actively driving traffic to your website with just about everything that you're doing, you're missing an easy opportunity to capture more people. So link to certain pages, not just your website as a whole, but you can even go to like the donate page or a campaign page, or I have an event coming up and there's an event sign up page. Like wherever on your site you're trying to get people to go, you can link directly to those places so that you can control not only what they do, but where they land and how they learn about information through your site and through your organization. Number 2 is use trackable links. We are now in a day and age where the level of internet stalking that corporations do as a whole is at an 11 out of 10. And it probably is going to get even crazier in the next 10 years with AI and all the customization pieces. Like we are so used now to having all of our advertising and all of our feeds and our emails seems to know us better than we do. And it's because companies are utilizing these trackable links. Like we need to know how many people are clicking through, we need to know percentages, we need to know where those people are from, how many times they've been to the site. All these things are possible when you have people, especially onto your own website. There are great analytics tools built into the social media platforms, and then we can track through which links and which posts we're getting the most traffic to our site, and then we just double down on those. You know, say you're doing a social media post twice a week. After a month, or maybe even you can wait 2 or 3 months, you can look back and say, okay, well that's, we had 16 pieces of content, or we had 20 pieces of content that we sent out. Here are our top 20%. These 4 did super well. And then these 4 didn't do very well at all. So we're gonna stop doing this kind of content, and we're gonna double down on those 4 that did super well. And you just iterate this over and over and over so that you have great data coming in, and then you're responding to that data and using it to inform how you're doing your future posting, your future traffic driving, and all through just being able to use some tracking mechanism within the social media tools and also within your website. If you don't have access to these things, whoever set up your website should be able to help you do that. And if you use a platform like some of the easy ones like Wix or Squarespace or any of those, I'm not sponsored by any of that, just some of the more turnkey website setup platforms, they should have automatic tracking tools built in as well. And tip number 3 is actually to optimize your website. So say you go through all the trouble, you have links, you're tracking how people get there, you've done a great job, you're driving all this traffic to your site. Well, once they get there, you have to really nail the experience. So your website needs to be very easy to find their way through. It should be very clear. Every page should have a nice call to action. There should be a flow. There should never be a dead end. So they go through a page on their about, and at the bottom of the about page, it directs them to the campaign page, or it directs them to the donate page, or they are on the donate page and it directs them right to the credit card screen. So whatever you want them to do next, make sure you're just thinking about that in your flow. We have a whole video on how to optimize your site to drive donations. I'll link that up here. I think it's one of these corners, but you can actually click through and watch that video next if you want. But having your website optimized both for information and for donations is absolutely key, because once you get them there, you again want to convert them and move them through that pipeline so you can continue to push donations and raise more money. All right, if you have any questions about how to optimize or use social media to increase donations, you can certainly leave us a comment. We do read all of the comments and we try to respond to as many as we can with as in-depth answers as we're able to muster. So you can comment below any questions or any clarifications you need. If you want more specific and customized help, you can of course go over to our website where we're trying to drive traffic right now using social media, pridephilanthropy.com. And you can learn a little bit more about what we do, how we do it, who we serve, and hopefully help people raise a little bit more money.